What's up, Amazon sellers? Have you ever wondered what happens when you take Amazon through the arbitration process? Well, if you are curious like me, then stay tuned because in this video, I'm going to share everything about how Amazon handles their disputes. Right, if you don't know who I am, my name is Thomas Parkinson and I've been a seller now on Amazon for 4 years doing online arbitrage in the UK. And right now I'm on a mission to do £1 million. And if you want to know more about my journey, check out up there as well. But not only that, I'm also now selling on Amazon USA, doing exactly the same online arbitrage. But enough about me, what are we going to talk about today? Well, in this video today, first things first, I'm going to talk about why I'm creating this video. Number 2, I'm going to be talking about what is Amazon arbitration. Number 3, what is CEDR? I'll explain later. Number 4, what is the scope and limitations of CEDR mediation? Number 5, I'll be talking about how CEDR process mediation and how it actually works. And then finally, number 6, I will be giving you my personal thoughts. So let's get started. Okay, first things first, number 1, why are we creating this video? Why are we talking about this? Basically, we all know that to fix an issue with Amazon means we have to create a case. Now, if we are not happy with the response that Amazon gives us, or should we say Amazon's solution doesn't agree with us, then what that can do is that can escalate into a big problem for us in our Amazon business. Now, by knowing the arbitration process, with the help of this video today, you can continue to raise your point and your rights against Amazon in certain issues if you feel like the issue with Amazon is not getting fixed and is pointless. Now, also reaching the point of arbitration is not an easy situation, and that's why I've made this video today, and this is based on my research of this new arbitration process. Now, to be clear, I have not personally gone through this process, but I've researched it, and what I'm sharing with you today is my understanding of the process as I have seen it, and hopefully if you are wanting to go through this process, this video is going to help you out in your business as well. Okay, so that leads me nicely onto number 2, what is Amazon arbitration? Well, to fully understand the arbitration process, first of all, let's define what the meaning of the word dispute means. Now, dispute means you are questioning whether a statement or the allegation of facts is true or valid. Simply, this is an argument between two parties which they can't resolve given that they've tried everything they can between themselves, i.e. us and Amazon. Now, by defining this, we can conclude that dispute, which is a third-party person or entity, will stand in the middle and way of the arguments for both parties in mediation. Now, in its simplest terms, this is called arbitration. In arbitration, we should always put our trust in the arbiter, in the fact that they'll weigh up the facts from both parties, and then they will equally come up with a good solution, which is going to benefit both parties, or should we say the right solution. Hopefully a win-win, but the right solution needs to happen. Now, to put it in perspective, if you're an Amazon seller and if you have a dispute with Amazon, which is about your selling experience on their platform, you will need to file what's known as an arbitration case to a third-party mediator for your disputes against Amazon. Now, you might be thinking you can just file a lawsuit against Amazon and not even bother with the arbitration process. Well, unfortunately, the answer is no. Whatever problem you have with Amazon should be dealt with through the arbitration rather than through a lawsuit. Now, what I'll do is I'll drop a link below which shows you the mediation policy for both the EU, UK, and USA as well. Now, you can check Amazon's policy and agreement in your Seller Central account, and what I'm going to do now is jump on my computer and share this with you. Okay, so I've just loaded up the link that I've shared down below right here, and what you've got here is the mediation agreement between Amazon sellers and obviously Amazon itself. So you can have a look through. It's not the smallest document, it's like 17 pages, but it does give you a good idea of kind of like what to expect, what the process is, and it's got a lot kind of going on, the process, status, confidentiality, lots and lots of information in there, the fees as well. So yeah, that's going to be certainly interesting, and obviously have a look at that if it's something that you're interested in going through, but it gives you the full policy as laid out there. But you can see here it's in different languages as well. So actually the mediation process is quite small, 17 pages talking about different languages. So yeah, that is the mediation policy. Now, what does this mean? It doesn't mean that you can't take Amazon to court if you wanted to, but there are certain cases where you still can. And the two cases are, number 1, small claims court, which I'll talk about in a minute, and another one when it's in regards to intellectual property. You can still take them to court as well. But let's go through them both now and give you a bit more detail. So the small claims court is when your case qualifies for what's known as small claims, and small claims court is a special court where disputes are, should we say, resolved quickly and inexpensively. Now, in the small claims court, the rules are simplified and the hearing is informal. And what we know is that the small claims court, the amount you can claim for will be of a smaller value. We'll talk about that. So the question is, how much can you actually claim in the small claims court through monetary loss? Well, in the USA, the maximum amount is $10,000, and in the UK, the maximum amount is £10,000. Now, we can't classify a certain case if it's small claims or not. We only know if the loss value of your claim should be under £10,000 or $10,000. Now, remember, this is on a case-by-case basis, and it's still best to seek legal advice on your situation or your case prior to taking that action. But again, the result can only be a small value below £10,000 or $10,000. Now, the second option is that you can still take Amazon to court when your case involves problems relating to infringement or misuse of intellectual property rights. Now, this is generally for private label sellers who use Amazon as selling on their platform. Now, we have limited information about these claims since I'm using online arbitrage as my main source of selling. But what I am going to do is drop a link down below where there are real life examples of people taking Amazon through to legal proceedings for intellectual property rights. So check out the link down below. That's probably going to help you out if that's a problem you've got right now. Quick question for you guys. Are you having problems with Amazon? Are you looking at taking them through the mediation process? Let me know in the comments down below. Let me know what the problems are and what you're looking to do. I'd love to hear examples of what's going on and success stories as well. Let me know in the comments down below. Now, you might be thinking, can you request mediation about any issue? Well, the short answer is no. Specifically, according to Amazon's mediation policy, your dispute must be solely about your selling experience with them. Now, for example, any disputes that related to Amazon FBA or the concept of it, they are not eligible for dispute. Now, upon researching more information about this, we found comments on Facebook that states, should we say, what cases are likely to be disputable for Amazon. And what I'll do is I'll drop a link around here. That was a really helpful comment that we found in our research that might just shed a bit more light on what is eligible. Check that out. Now, according to this comment, which I think the person who commented about had experience in the mediation process, you can understand or you can seek mediation against Amazon if your disputes are, and I'll highlight them now, number 1, account deactivation, 2, listing deactivation, number 3, funds on hold due to the risk and performance, number 4, account deactivation due to a switch to limited or LTD company, or other disputes. Now, you might see that number 5, and it's contrary to what Amazon say, that your dispute should solely be limited to your selling experience. Now, we can't answer whether it's going to be accepted or not, but according to Amazon's mediation policy, Amazon will make the final decision of whether they are going to accept or reject your application for mediation. So what you need to understand is it isn't simply you raise it and Amazon have to listen, not at all. Amazon have to agree to go through this process as per their terms and conditions. Adding to this, if you file a dispute against Amazon with an arbiter, Amazon will reply if your dispute should be resolved in mediation or not. Yes, as you might think right now, it still depends on Amazon if they accept that a case should go through to mediation or not. Now in the UK, Amazon's arbitrage party is called CEDR, while in the USA, it's the American Arbitration Association, or AAA. Now for this video, I'm going to share with you the policies and the mediation process for Amazon UK and EU. And if you're in the USA seller, what I'm going to do is leave a video up here for Amazon's AAA policy and mediation process. Check that out. Okay, this leads me nicely onto number 3. What is CEDR? Now, CEDR stands for the Center for Effective Dispute Resolution. And this is a third-party arbitrator which is based in London, whereby Amazon uses them as their official arbitration court in processes such as these. Now, basically, if you are an Amazon business that is registered in the UK, CEDR is the only option you will take with Amazon when you're going through the arbitration process. Now, what does CEDR specifically mediate? Well, what we've said before is according to Amazon's mediation policy, your dispute must be solely about your selling experience of them, and any disputes which are not related to that, i.e. the concept of FBA, for example, they are not eligible for dispute. What I'll show you again is that comment we had previously, which gives you the states of the disputes which you can file in CEDR against Amazon. So check that out. It's going to help you. It's going to support you just understanding, is my dispute right for mediation or not? Now again, this is based on a case-by-case basis, and when Amazon receives your arbitration dispute through CEDR, they will reply whether your claim is disputable or not. If it is disputable, the case will go through mediation and it will start the process. Now always remember that CEDR sets a time limit for the mediation process, this including submission of evidence. In addition, CEDR can also request specific documents depending on the case for further review of your dispute, and they can request that between you or Amazon. So take note of that. They may ask you for more documents. Now, one question you might be really asking is how much does CEDR cost the dispute process? Well, according to their mediation rules, and remember I shared that link earlier, specifically under disputes for Amazon under section 1.5, specifically to parties in the UK, they're going to charge you £490 plus VAT if you are in the UK, and if that is based on your registration address. And if your registration address is in the EU, they're going to charge you €538, and I assume also as well plus VAT, depending on the country that you're based in as well. So that is based on if your registered address is in a member state of the European Union. Now this case fee will be split equally between Amazon and the end user, i.e. you, so just be mindful of that. Now this case fee will be split equally between Amazon and the end user, so what does that mean? Out of the £490 plus VAT they've got to be paid, Amazon pays half, you pay half. So that's the cost of taking or going through the mediation process. Now, what I will say is in the event that the mediator makes a recommendation in favor of you, the seller, well, the seller's proportion of the case fees will be reimbursed by CEDR within 30 calendar days of the date of the decision. So if they rule in your favor, you are going to get your money back. That is a real positive. Okay, stay to the end because I'm going to share with you someone who shared their experience with the mediation process and how long it took. So I'll share that at the end of this video. Now let's move on to number 4. What is the scope and the limitations of the CEDR mediation process? Well, under 2.1 of their own mediation rules, the seller and Amazon must meet the following conditions. And first things first, number 1, they must have exhausted Amazon's complaints process. Number 2, Amazon must have provided the seller with an access code confirming that the Amazon consent to the seller's application for a mediation process, i.e. Amazon have got to actually agree to the mediation process for the code. Number 3, the seller must have sent an application form to CEDR that meets their requirements no later than 30 calendar days after receiving the access code. And then number 4, lastly, your dispute should be handled by Amazon first, and no previous attempts for the same issue should be raised. And also as well, if you are going into dispute, it cannot be longer than 6 months from the initial dispute date. So you can't have raised it already and re-raise it and re-raise it and re-raise it. And if you've got a problem, you cannot wait longer than 6 months since the initial problem to raise it with the dispute process. Just be mindful of that. Now, remember, you need to file your dispute first with Amazon before going through the mediation process. Quite simply, Amazon will try to resolve your dispute on their end first. And if you're not satisfied with the result or the course of action, then that is the time that you can ask to go take them to mediation. And if Amazon agree, they will send you an access code. Now, the question you might be asking is, when should you not use the CEDR mediation process? Well, according to their own documentation, if your dispute falls with one or more of the following categories, this is a reason not to use the mediation process. So first things first, number 1, when the Amazon dispute did not meet the 4 conditions as I mentioned previously. Number 2, where the details of the dispute set out in the seller's application form are materially different from those details that were provided in the mediation proceedings. Number 3, where the dispute has been referred to a court or a judgment has been made or issued by a court before the mediator makes a decision. Number 4, where the seller and or Amazon notifies CEDR that they withdraw consent to participate in the mediation process. My God, that's a bit of a mouthful. But the idea is to say that there are the reasons why you should not or you can't go through the mediation process. Just be mindful of them. Now, if the dispute falls into one or more of the following categories mentioned before, the dispute will be withdrawn or closed. Both the seller and Amazon will then be reimbursed by CEDR for their portion, should we say, of the case fee within 30 calendar days of the dispute being withdrawn. Now, always remember, putting a dispute through the scheme doesn't remove the seller's duty, i.e. your duty to pay any amounts that are due to Amazon. So if you've got to pay things like your Amazon seller account fees, you still have to pay them regardless of this process. Now, this leads me nicely on to number 5, how does CEDR process mediation? Well, the mediation process of CEDR is divided into 3 steps. Now, the first step is the application process. What you should only remember in this step is that you should have an access code from Amazon granting you permission to take them through the arbitration process. Now, for detailed requirements and conditions before applying CEDR, I will leave a link down below that's going to support you in understanding what you need to know. Now, always remember to seek legal advice first or have a lawyer with you before proceeding with arbitration, because it's just going to support you in making sure you get everything right, all the facts, all the documents. Now, next is Amazon's own response. When you file a dispute with mediation, obviously with CEDR, what's going to happen is that you will just file your dispute with the necessary documentation and you will invite Amazon into mediation proceedings. Now, Amazon may have 2 responses according to the CEDR rules. Amazon may object to the eligibility of the dispute in regards to taking them to court if they feel it doesn't meet the CEDR's conditions. Now, if the objection is valid, what's going to happen is that the CEDR proceedings will be stopped and the actual issue will be brought back to Amazon's own internal resolution process, i.e. raising a case and having a conversation through them. Not perfect, but just be mindful that you can only raise these cases when your dispute is valid against the reasons we stated earlier. Now, if mediation happens after the initial exchange of statements and submissions of proof of information that we shared, the mediator will now come up with their decision. Now, the mediator will send a copy of their decision to both the seller, you, and Amazon within 40 calendar days. So generally quite a quick process. Now, in the event that the mediator makes a recommendation in favor of you, the seller's proportion of the case fees will be reimbursed by CEDR to the seller within 30 days. I stated that earlier, but just remember you're going to get that back. Now, if they do not recommend or on your favor and they do think that Amazon's being fair, you will not get your money back. So no reimbursement will be made. Remember that. Now, always remember, once a decision has been made by the CEDR process and they've sent this decision to the seller and Amazon, they consider the case closed and it cannot be reopened or reappealed. So just be mindful of that, get it right first time. Now, let me share my personal thoughts on this. Now, look, after reading this, doing the research and reviewing all this information, I've got 2 questions. First of all, are there any recorded cases whereby a UK seller has won an arbitration process against Amazon? Now, as of making this video upon researching, I've only really seen one Facebook comment about someone who kind of alluded to the fact that they've done it. And what I'm going to do is share a screenshot around here of that. Someone shared about the Amazon arbitration process, and they actually said it took about 10 days and they got the decision in their favor. Now, I think that is great. It's a great process to have, and it seems quite simple. But I think for you is just be mindful this process is working. People have used it and it has worked. And I think it's great to have that absolute, should we say, that third party. We can't say that it's impossible or possible to win against Amazon in an arbitration case again, but it is based on a case-to-case basis. Now, quite simply, obviously, we have seen that this person already has won a case against them in arbitration, and it's great to see that result has come out. Now, on the USA side, I haven't seen any recorded cases of the new arbitration process working, but what I can say is that the previous system that they had in place had worked, and I've seen lots of examples of that. And what I'll do is I'll drop a video up here where Amazon were asked or told to pay $200,000 US to a seller over an 18-month arbitration process. I know a lot longer, but the new process is a lot quicker. But that video up there will just allow you to understand or see what the old process was like and a court case that we read about that previously. Now, what I will say is before I finish this video, always remember this rule from CEDR. The implementation of any recommendations made by the mediator in the decision will be at the sole discretion of Amazon. Now, no matter what the decision is, Amazon still has the discretion if they will follow CEDR's recommendation, decision or not. Now, what does this mean? The mediation result is non-binding. Quite simply, the seller and Amazon itself are not legally obliged to carry out any terms or the result of the mediator's decision. So even if the mediator mediator rules in your favor, it doesn't mean Amazon actually has to do it. That's just like crazy, but just be mindful of that. Now, personally, is arbitration the right thing to do? Well, quite simply, I think this is an amazing step in the right direction. Too many times have we been going back and forward with Amazon Seller Central only for them to cut us off, and I've heard time and time again whereby sellers have had no response from Amazon for months. This is a step in the right direction, and it's really nice to see. People have already used it and it's had a quick resolution. At the end of the day, we just want to get on Amazon, we want to get selling, we want to make our businesses work. I think this is a step in the right direction. Is it perfect? No, but we are going in the right direction. So good work, well done, I'm happy with that. Now, if you want to know more about the Amazon arbitration process, what I'll do is I'll drop a link below to a compilation of all our research about this. So obviously you can look at that. It's going to help you as well if you are going through this. Now, if you are going through the Amazon arbitration process, or hey, maybe you're thinking about it, or maybe hey, you've even lost one, you might be thinking this is the end of the world. Your business has failed, it is over. But you know what? It isn't. There are still so many opportunities out there in the world, whether it be selling on Amazon or even not. But what I think you should do is understand about when we're in our tough times, thinking of giving up, that is actually when we can rally our strength to push forward and start a new business or continue driving this with a renewed enthusiasm. So what I'm going to do is drop a link around here for a video that I've created previously about what to do when you think you're going to be giving up, and some top advice from some people that I follow personally. Check that video out, it's going to help you. But what I will say is if you liked this video, give me a big thumbs up. And hey, if you want to see more videos like this, hit that subscribe button down below. That's the subscribe button down below. But for me, Thomas Parkinson and FastTrackFBA, thank you very much.